Joanna Small, your public information officer for the Wheat Ridge Police Department. It's Friday, June 2nd, and this is your WRPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of some of the most notable calls your Wheat Ridge patrol officers responded to over this past week. Overnight on June 2nd, officers were called to the 3900 block of Wadsworth for reports that a suspect was throwing large rocks at business windows. In doing so, he broke at least one large pane of glass. Officers were able to contact him, and he is now facing criminal mischief charges for his actions. On June 1st, officers were called to the 5300 block of West 38th for suspicious people slumped over in a vehicle with an infant inside. When officers arrived, they learned that the vehicle had been reported stolen really just minutes earlier. The couple was contacted inside a business. A search of the vehicle revealed a felony amount of drugs with many small packages to indicate they were being distributed. The male half of the couple is facing aggravated motor vehicle theft, unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, and child abuse charges. The female half is facing child abuse charges. Also on June 1st, officers were called to Lutheran Medical Center when a patient received care using someone else's identity. Once he was discharged, officers contacted him, determined his real identity, and learned he had multiple warrants for his arrest. He was jailed on the warrants and is now facing additional charges for false reporting, criminal possession of an identification document, possession of drug paraphernalia, and criminal impersonation. Again on June 1st, WRPD patrol officers pulled over a vehicle for a traffic infraction in the 5000 block of Kipling and discovered the driver had a no-bond fugitive with justice warrant out of the Department of Corrections. He also did not have a valid driver's license or insurance. The driver was issued a summons for the traffic violations and was jailed on the warrant. On May 31st, officers responded to a report of indecent exposure that occurred on the Clear Creek Trail about 1.5 miles west of Kipling. A man came out of the bushes masturbating as the female victim ran by on the trail. She reported seeing the same man doing the same thing several times in the past few months. Officers are still attempting to identify and locate the suspect. Also on May 31st, two co-workers got into a fight in Hayward Park when one punched the other while he was driving. The instigator left before officers arrived, but agreed to return to the police department to be issued a summons for third-degree assault. On May 28th, officers were dispatched to a call involving a person with a gun outside a bar in the 10,000 block of West 44th Avenue. No gun was located on the person we contacted, but there was a witness to the event as well as a victim. Upon our arrival, another individual was attempting to drive away from the location but was extremely intoxicated. Officers used a breath test and determined her blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit to drive. She's facing DUI charges, and the other suspect is facing felony menacing charges. Also on May 28th, an individual exhibiting signs of intoxication was found to be occupying the driver's seat of his vehicle in the 7700 block of West 38th Avenue. He was transported to the hospital for treatment and issued a summons for the DUI. On May 27th, a vigilant patrol officer patrolling around the 5000 block of Kipling recognized a vehicle that was involved with a possible robbery. 2 people inside the vehicle had warrants for their arrest and were both jailed as a result. The investigation into their involvement in the robbery is still ongoing. On May 26th, another vigilant patrol officer noticed a vehicle driving on West 44th Avenue with a fake temporary tag. The officer made a traffic stop, and when the driver opened his glove box, a 19-gram jar of methamphetamine fell out. A search of the vehicle uncovered about 40 fentanyl pills as well. The driver was jailed on the warrants and is now facing felony possession of a controlled substance charges. Also on May 26th, the Longmont Police Department asked us to be on the lookout for a Toyota Prius stolen out of their jurisdiction. We found it in the 12,000 block of West 44th Avenue. As officers approached the vehicle, 2 people also approached it and opened the doors. Both were taken into custody and both had warrants. The driver is now also facing motor vehicle theft charges. Again, on May 26th, officers were called to the Walgreens on Wadsworth for a report that 2 people were attempting to shoplift by concealing items. We contacted both of them, and both had outstanding warrants for their arrest. One was issued a summons for theft, and both were jailed on their warrants. We also told you about several significant incidents as a standalone post on social media this week. One corporal recovered 3 stolen vehicles during one shift, and 2 of the recoveries also yielded the arrest of suspects connected to the thefts, which is often a challenge. In the most egregious, the owner of the vehicle saw it being driven away on security camera, and our corporal located it with both the driver and passenger inside. The driver was in possession of a felony amount of fentanyl and faces charges for both the illegal substances and the aggravated motor vehicle theft. And the registered owner got her ride back just hours after it was stolen. This was a very productive week for stolen vehicle recoveries. Most weeks are, but this one was exceptional, with patrol recovering 12 stolen vehicles and making several arrests of people associated with those vehicles. Excluding our crash and traffic team, which focuses solely on citing dangerous drivers and responding to accidents, our patrol officers also issued approximately 50 tickets for traffic infractions, patrolling areas we know to be problematic, as well as places you've told us you see aggressive driving. Every shift also spends their free time, meaning time in between your calls for service, patrolling parts of our city where criminal activity is higher. Often contacting protecting people for lesser crimes like jaywalking and trespassing, which can lead to arrests for things like warrants, drug possession, and drug paraphernalia. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. And remember, if you need us, we're always just minutes away.